Hi guys, this is Kicker22004 again. This is going to be a follow-up video to my old benchmark video of the Raspberry Pi 3 versus the Xu4 from Odroid. And the reason why is that really wasn't meant to be a benchmark video so much as benchmarking it with BSCC, my Minecraft program I kind of put together. And I got some comments saying it's not a good benchmark, and I understand that. It was really just to see which one would beat which one loading Minecraft, because that's kind of what I like to play. So I've decided I'll make an actual benchmark video. And to do that, we're going to use System Bench or SysBench, and we're also going to test its LAN speeds because some boards have slow LAN speeds, like my Qbox and Hummingboard because they share the USB hub. Anyway, so we're going to use SysBench, and we're also going to use Geekbench because someone brought it up in one of my videos, so why not? So what we have here is we have the Raspberry Pi up in the top left, we have the M3 from NanoPi, from Friendly Arm, NanoPi M3, and we have my Xu4 down below. The reason I wanted to put these two here up here is because the NanoPi and the Raspberry Pi are both the same price. Let me get these started actually. I'll just fire them all off so we're not waiting forever. And it's going to show, I forgot to turn off the desktop on this one. That's okay. It doesn't matter. It's going to be testing CPU anyway. We see that all the cores are set to performance, governor-wise anyway. And the main reason I wanted to test this is these two are the same exact price as far as when you buy these. You get a NanoPi M3, it's $35, and as we all know, Raspberry Pi 3 is $35. So if you get this board though, make sure you get the fan with it. And I can't stress that enough. It does get hot and it will thermal throttle. But with the fan, it actually does really, really well. And the fan's, it's dirt cheap. It's $5.99. Might as well at this point. All these cards in these boards are running a class 10 from SanDisk, all exactly the same. So we shouldn't see very much, differences there. It is doing a prime number check of only 10,000 because I didn't want to make this video too long, and I didn't see very much of a difference between like 20,000 and 10,000. So, and the last one's the Odroid Xu4, which comes in at $74. So it's here during the test because people do wonder how much faster and if it's worth the money. So personally, I use my Xu4 more than my Raspberry Pi 3. My Raspberry Pi 3 is just running a piano bar, pretty much, is all it's doing. I'm using the little screen that I did a review on to show what's playing, and that's about it. So anyway, I think this should, we're jumping right through it. We're already done with single threading. Now we're going to multi-threading. And as the test goes on, it's actually going to display the temperature. And you're going to notice a big jump here because, actually, you might hear it. Hang on. I don't know if you can hear that static there, but it's actually the NanoPi's fan. It's really loud. And I have a fan on the Raspberry Pi 3 just to make it fair so we can see temp tests here coming across. And this is an octa-core, and this is an octa-core. The difference here is that this is, I guess you'd say, a true octa-core, where this is a big little. There's still an octa-core, it just has 4 big cores and 4 little cores. As you can see here, clocked at 2 versus the 14. So we're already on the read-write test. Now, this one is going to show my SSD write test as well, because I have an SSD hooked to the Cloud Shell, and since it has the capabilities, I figured I'd go ahead and show kind of what that would look like. And I'm not running a very high-end SD card, or not SD card, but SSD. It's just a Kingston $35 one from Amazon. So if you buy the Xu4, my reviews go, if you buy this board, definitely get the case. And the reason being is not only can you have your SSD, you also have the screen, but if you've read or watched any of my videos, this board is paper thin. And that's one of my biggest complaints with this board. And so far, I don't have any other Odroids to compare it if it's all across the board with them. But I hope not, because I feel like it's just going to warp, especially from the heats that it reaches. So, as you can see here, these seem to be pretty close right now. Okay, I went ahead and sped through that because I didn't figure we wanted to sit here forever on this. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and test the speeds of the LAN now. And as you would picture with Raspberry Pi, we don't have gigabit land on it, so we're not planning on getting close to gigabit with speed, but we are looking at for at least almost 100. And I'm averaging transfer of 113, which see if I can zoom in on that a little bit for you to see. 113 and 94. And when we come on over here to the M3, you should see we'll get something closer to gigabit land speeds. So let's do that and see what we end up with. And there we are. We got 109 and 933. So quite fast actually, and it's where we would expect to see it. So let's move on down to the Odroid, because that's what this is all about, right? Test them all, see who's the better deal, I guess you would say, depending on your needs, really. I mean, the Raspberry Pi versus the Nano are pretty close. Surprisingly, the Nano has won the Odroid in every test I do with the gigabit land, so I have to say it's slightly faster, but not, real world, it's not going to see that much of a difference there. Well, about 100 megs on the bandwidth. Anyway, so let's take a look at these logs and see what really came out with this here. So we'll go ahead and pull them up real quick. And see where they landed. Start at the top and work our way down. Alright. Oh, I think I went too far. No, here we are. Alright, so let's look at the CPU tests first. And we'll kind of see what everything's happening here. CPU average for the Prime to 10,000 was 182 on average. Now the NanoPi slightly beat it at 173, but it didn't come anywhere close to the Odroid, which is what I figured it would do because it is an octa-core. But the big cores definitely pulled ahead here, depending on which single I guess it decided to pick. But on your multi-threading, that's where it would make a big difference. We're at 45 and we're at 21. So about twice as fast as the Raspberry Pi there. And I expected this. Now when you come down to the Odroid, it's about twice as fast as the M3 with an octa-core. So that's really where I expected a good challenge, and the Odroid definitely pulled its weight. Now when you look at the temps, you're going to see that the Raspberry Pi was at 40, and the M3 was at 44 to begin with, and we were at 44 up here. Oh, we're not at the beginning with. 36 to begin with, sorry, 44. And it went up to 45 and then 69 on the multi. Whereas the Xu4 went up to 81. That thing gets way too hot, and that's one of the bigger issues with it. It does thermal throttle, so food for thought on that. Let's go down to the disk speeds, and again the Odroid's going to have the SSD speeds, but that's okay. For some reason, the M3 just really does not pull its weight when it comes to writing to the disk. And I don't know if maybe I've used the card a lot, because I have been working with that board a lot, or what, but it's really just kind of half the speeds of the other cards, and they're exactly the same cards. So I'm not sure what's happening there, but it's definitely much slower, as you can see here, versus the other one, which I'm sorry for those on mobile. I'm going to try to remember to zoom in on these sorts of things. But yeah, 4.6 of the M3 and 13 versus 10.6 and 22. Whereas you get down to the Odroid, it's more traditional, 7 and 25. And the SSDs, as expected, are 135 and 123. Alright, let's go ahead and move on down to the Geekbench, which is just showing the tests that it did here. But really, they go ahead and put up a link. So we're going to open up that link on the Raspberry Pi. And it pulls in a score of 2121, which is pretty good, actually. I think it's pretty decent. And, the link is right here. If you guys want to check these things out, go for it. I'll put it right up here closer so you can see it. They stay on their site for like ever. So let's pull up the next one. Whoop. If I can click my mouse, huh? And we'll take a look at the M3, which came in at 4,078. Again, it's an octa-core, but they're the same price as the Raspberry. So if you need a little more grunt, that might be a little bit better, but you are going to pay for the shipping. So again, if you need to see this information and you want to come take a look at it more in depth, that is the address. Go ahead and pause here. And last but not least, we'll pull up the Odroid, which I'm expecting a pretty decent number out of, and we'll see what we get here in just a second. And last but not least, 53.96. Quick look at this, and you can come here and take a look for yourself and compare them all, but this is pretty much what you look at. Raspberry Pi, $35, $21.21. Friendly Arms NanoPi M3, $35, $40.78. Very healthy score. And Odroids from Hard Kernel, Xu4 still pulling in as the top dog here at $53.96. And I can't say it enough, Hard Kernel has made an amazing board when it comes to CPU performance. And that's pretty much it, guys. I didn't want to lengthen this video out too long. I appreciate everybody who's watched it, and I hope this is a more reliable benchmark for you guys versus my BSCC program. The Raspberry Pi is a great board, great community. The NanoPi doesn't quite have the community, but it is a decent board, especially when it comes to, the processor speeds, multi-threading anyway, and that's just because it has more cores. But the clear winner, again, if you have any questions for me as which one I prefer, it's always the Xu4 as of right now. I haven't seen another ARM board that I have had access to compete with it. So, well, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button if you want to see some random videos. And if you want to see something, let me know. I now have a Elgato HD60, so I can record gameplay, screen, anything from any of these boards, whether it be games or like coding and things like that. Its performance is there. And looking for suggestions, guys. So as always, hit that thumbs up. That's how people share my things. Recently, my last video on Pi Bakery actually made it onto Hackaday on their front page. I thought that was super cool. The developer deserves all the props as always, but I think it's cool that they put my video up there. So hit that thumbs up, hit the subscribe if you're new here, and to everyone else, I'll see you next time.